Welcome to Stadia Rokks Live. It is, of course, the once a week Sunday morning breakfast show for all of you who are casual gamers, busy people, interested in Stadia, don't have it yet, new to Stadia, any of those things. You're in the right place. Yes, we have a new look, or at least it's kind of the old look, but it's all been technically beefed up and stuff. And there's things going on here, folks, that no one's ever done before. And I'm not telling you what they are. You can try and guess if you want to. But yeah, no, it's been a great week for me. Thank you. It always is these days. I'm having a cracking time in and amongst the horribles of the world. But yes, it's all good, mate. It's all really, really good. And before let's just we got a big week coming up. We got Stadia Connect, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a little while. We've got other stuff, events today that are coming as well. So it's an interesting time for us Stadians. Now let's crack on because we've got a lot to cover off in what would have been 20 minutes ago for an hour. Let's start with the latest news.
The latest news from Stadia.
What's our first piece of news? Our first piece of news is that Celeste we knew about. We talked about Celeste last week, and let's see if I can pronounce this correctly. El Guillo, I think that's correct. My Spanish ain't good. Is coming to Stadia in the near future. Do you know much about this game? I hear pretty good things about it.
Well, hey ho, I'm awful with pronunciations, as I think everybody would know that. For It looks like it's going to be an interesting game to play. I will say interesting. You don't seem to have any weapons, so you've got very few weapons in it, and it looks a very intriguing sort of game. The art style of it as well, so it's I think it's one to keep a wee eye on. Celeste we talked about last week, but well, now we know it's 100% confirmed. Like we said about when these leaks come on the different ratings agencies, it doesn't mean 100% they're coming, but in all likelihood they should be coming because they don't usually get put to these things unless there's a really good possibility that they're coming.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a fair shout that one is on its way. And then we've got another game coming, which is World. I don't even know what that stands for. WWW. Was it World Wrestling Enterprise or something? I don't know.
World Wrestling Entertainment. They've dropped.
There was a story. I think it's true as well that it was to do with the fact that there's the World Wildlife Fund. So it was originally WWF, World Wrestling Federation or something, and of course the World Wildlife Fund, which is a slightly different enterprise, took them to court and had them change the name. Which fair point. All those pandas and stuff, they don't want to be seen. They don't want to be associated with people beating each other up, do they?
Exactly. Yeah, but what you're saying is true. That is why it was changed because of the WWF, the Wildlife Fund. This game, if you're a WWE fan, I think it's going to tick all the right boxes for you. It's just a over-the-top mess about sort of game, and it's got a lot of the old school wrestlers there. You've seen Sergeant Slaughter there. You've got Stone Cold and everything. So I think it's going to be one for the wrestling fans, new and old, to maybe get to play on that.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, wrestling is not really my thing. I understand that it's hugely popular, and it has a massive following, but yeah, it ain't for me, mate. I've got to be honest with you. But best of luck to those that it's coming for, because I know that, as I say, it's very, very popular. And then we've also got news this week of Serious Sam. Now, Serious Sam, we knew was coming, didn't we? I've got this here somewhere. Okay, here we go. We knew Serious Sam was coming anyway, but there's now a new trailer. What's special about this trailer, other than it's got a spaceship in it? I think that's quite an interesting addition to the storyline.
Yes, it's got a spaceship in it. I think it was just to show it off. It's still coming in August. Still no firm release date for August yet. But I think there's a couple of placeholder dates out there. But this is coming to Stadia. It looks over the top fun again. Just millions of these enemies on the screen. just to go about shooting. And it's a game you can switch off your brain and just go around shooting things, which I think a lot of people like. This was actually shown at the Developer Digital event last night. If it's
Devolver, was it Devolver or
Devolver?
the name of the developer?
Yeah, it's the name of the
Yeah.
publisher.
Okay.
They had like their E3 showcase last night, and this was part of it. If you want to go back and watch it, I find it hysterical, the thing, but it is not for the faint of heart. It's rips people to shreds, and it's that's the F bombs.
Just kind of what you want over breakfast, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
We maybe we should have warned people beforehand, but yes. So that's that one. The other one that there's kind of a leak in terms of now. Why is this a leak? Because I thought we were all fairly certain Orcs Must Die 3 was coming up shortly.
Oh, the reason why this is a leak is, again, we might talk about some more leaky sort of things. So if you're looking for spoiler free,
No spoilers. Yeah, spoiler free zone and all that stuff.
The reason why this may be a leak, I think we've already started, so we're finishing.
We kind of have, yeah. But you know what? You can pause. You can skip forward 30 seconds.
This looks like Orcs Must Die is coming to us on Tuesday, and it will be part of the Pro package for Stadia. So this is going to be another game coming this month. During the trailer, which sort of leaked online, I don't think it was actually meant to. It actually says play now on Pro. So we're by the looks of it, the announcement is coming on Tuesday, and we'll get to play this.
Yes, it is. I mean, it is a bit of a spoiler, but on the same hand, I mean, we knew it was coming because it was we've been told it was coming, and they also showed the little sort of at the end of the last Connect, they showed the little orc fellas there, didn't they? Say, see you in the summer. So we kind of knew it was coming. What we didn't know was that it's going to be free for Pro subscribers, and that's the big spoiler, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, that is the big spoiler, and again, it's another what I'm going to call a Stadia game. For me, a Stadia game is, if you're going to define it, is a co-op game. It's another co-op to play with people. So that seems to be something which Stadia are really, really pushing. And there you go, play now for free with Stadia Pro.
See, that's a really good point that you make, and I've not heard that defined that way before. So, in essence, a kind of a Stadia game is almost certainly one that you play with other people. And I suppose when we look at recent games like Crater and Wave Break, PUBG, that's certainly the case. Of course, the only game I can think of where it wasn't the case recently was West of Loathing. That's that, and I think I'm right in Monster Boy. Does that have a co-op aspect? I know you can theoretically bring a state share into it. Well, that's for another day. But
no, it's a primary single player. It's a state share thing. We'll go to.
Okay, mate. Okay, and then Ember. Now Ember, which gets an update. Ember, if I remember rightly, was and still is not officially released. It's not officially launched, although you can purchase it and play a kind of pre-launched version on Stadia.
Yeah, that's called early access. So you play along while the game is going to be getting built. The other high-profile one, which is coming to Stadia in the next couple of months, actually next month, if everything goes right, is Baldur's Gate 3. For Ember, they actually put out their roadmap, what's going to be happening over the next couple of year and a half.
Okay.
So it's into 2021. It might even be into 2022. I can't remember in the top of my head, but this one adds in your Uber Eats basically, but Ember Eats, and you can do that. So they actually are updating the games. And this game, as far as I remember as well, also has crossplay on with PC. I think if it's not there, I think it is coming shortly. So it is a game to maybe keep an eye on. It seems to be actually gathering a bit of momentum on maybe on the PC side at this moment in time. So it might be worth keeping an eye on that to see if these new features are making you want to play it.
Wow. So that's essentially what the update is. And I guess we'll see more of those. Do we have an official release date on it yet,
No,
Duncan? Or is it? No. Okay.
I think it's just going to be an early access until it's ready. Some of these games in early access do have a release date in mind, but I don't think there's one in mind at the moment.
Gotcha, mate. Gotcha. And then today, in fact, we've got Ubisoft. Is it Ubi or Ubi? Now, I know they're French company, so I've always assumed it was Ubi because you don't hear French people say "you" like we do we? A bit of a rat hole there, but I've always assumed it's Ubisoft. Do you? Am I right or wrong in that? I'm probably asking the wrong person, really, aren't I?
You know how you definitely are, because you know what the way I am with my pronunciations. I just go Ubisoft, so
Yeah. Ubi works for me. I'm absolutely certain that's how it should be pronounced. Right, so today, literally today, because today is July the 12th, if you're watching this or listening to this after the 12th, I beg your pardon. But when we recorded this, it was the 12th. And so later today, I think 7 p.m. our time in Britain, BST, is Ubisoft Forward, which is their kind of big event for the year, showcasing all their new titles coming up, what they've been working on, some surprises and so on. Now that is what we're seeing here on screen for those listening by podcast, because the show is available on all podcast platforms, is the main screen at ubisoft.com, which is ubisoft.com/en-gb/forward if you're in Britain, or speak English rather. And essentially this is a big show. It's going to be 7 p.m. Kickoff. Well, there's a pre-show at 7 p.m. our time. And then the main show is 8 p.m. UK time. But the thing that I can't wait for is if you log into your Ubisoft account, if you haven't got one, go and get one quick. You can actually get a free copy of Watch Dogs 2 just by logging in during the show time. So that's 7 p.m. pre-show, 8 p.m. show, and 9 p.m. post-show UK time, BST. And get yourselves a free copy of Watch Dogs 2, which is only for the PC, unfortunately. But even if you don't have a PC, claim it, because you never know, you may get one in the future. That's how I look at it. But there's lots they want to talk about, aren't there? They've got Valhalla and all sorts going on.
Yeah, it's going to be a big event, and as it's Ubisoft, a lot of things are actually being leaked at the moment. So if you're looking to, as Rokk demonstrates his
Valhalla
impression there, it is starting to leak. There's actually a trailer for a game which isn't actually being am
I putting you off, Duncan? I'm sorry.
No, you're not. You just heard that there. I didn't know if I meant to mention this, but it has actually. I just realised, the Twitter account has mentioned it. The Far Cry 6 trailer is now leaked out now. So if you want to save that for the reveal later, do not go searching on social media for things, because it's actually people are posted it up, and it's the full trailer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Okay.
It's not getting taken down at this moment in time, because Ubisoft are famous for taking things down. Watch Dogs Legion seems to be the big game. They seem to be pushing for it, in my opinion. It's not like even because on my Twitter, it's all about Watch Dogs at this moment in time.
Well, Watch Dogs Legion, which is obviously the new one, Watch Dogs 3, in essence, it was due to launch earlier in the year, of course, and then got put off, as a lot of things did, because of lockdown across the world. It is an amazing looking game. And I love the Watch Dogs franchise anyway. I love, to be fair, most of what Ubisoft put out. And Watch Dogs Legion does look rather special, so I'm not hugely surprised. And one of my big hopes is that they're going to give us an announcement of a launch date and launch time today, and that date and time won't be that far down the road. We could sit here and speculate. We know Watch Dogs Legion is absolutely coming to Stadia. We don't know that it's going to be a day-and-date release, but so far they have been, as far as Ubisoft's concerned. So hopefully that's literally just around the corner. The only thing that... Sorry, Duncan.
I was going to say, what I was going to say about the Watch Dogs, there has been a sort of leak date for it. If you want me to say, I can say, or we can leave that as a surprise.
Oh, so they've leaked it, have they? Don't say. Yeah.
I will not say what it is, but apparently it is out there if you want to
Right.
go.
Okay. Yeah, we'll leave that one, folks. The reason for it is that twofold, really. One is that the Ubisoft guys may not release that information today. It depends how in bed they are with Stadia, because Stadia, it appears, like to control news on releases and stuff. But we'll see. You can tell me after the show, mate, but on a personal level, I hope it's soon. Right, so that's going to happen today. As I say, get yourselves over there to the Ubisoft website, log in if you've got an account, if you don't get one. And there are rewards. There's Watch Dogs 2, which you can automatically be added to your account if you've logged in. Plus, as it says on their website, the chance to earn additional in-game rewards. I don't know whether that's in-game for Watch Dogs 2 or other games. I'm assuming it's Watch Dogs 2. But either way, it's a great game. I finished it. I loved it. We'll happily play it again. And looking forward to what our friends at Ubisoft have to say later today.
Rokk,
Right, Duncan.
Just before you move on, just to talk about that in-game thing, Ubisoft are really big fans of that. For marketing their games, if you watch along with their things, they're liable to give you free stuff. When they first announced Assassin's Creed, and do you remember that? I'm not sure if you remember, they were doing a picture. They were drawing a picture of the new setting. If you watch that,
I do remember. Oh, Valhalla. Yeah.
If you watch that on Twitch, you're going to get something free in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And there a couple of weeks ago with Hyperscape, or Hyperscript as we were calling it. If you watched it on with that,
very naughty.
You got into the beta for that. So if you started watching people, they seem to be big fans of it. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's more goodies get dropped if you watch it through the proper.
They like to give stuff away.
Yes. Oh, you're going to have fun with all these.
Not today, not today's show. This is a serious show, Duncan. Right, and finally, final little piece of news is that this coming Tuesday, which we'll cover in a second, it's the Google Stadia Connect. That's the 14th of July or July the 14th, depending on where you are in the world. Same date, different countries. And the reason for the news isn't that it's happening, because we all know that it's happening, and if we don't, we'll talk about that in a second. It's because I can finally announce, yes, you've all been waiting for this news, folks, Rockstars at Night will be doing a simulcast, that's what they call it, and when you're a professional broadcaster, of the Connect. We're going to go live half an hour before the show. I think it's at 6 p.m. BST, so that'll be 5:30 UK. And I can confirm that we will have your usual favourites. There'll be me, well, maybe not a favourite, but I'm there. Lee, Daz, and special guest, Jem. Yes, Jem will be joining us. Jem is rapidly rising star of Stadia. Hopefully a rock star, who knows? Little slip of the old Freudian there. And I'm also hoping for another guest. I don't think it's going to be you joining us, Duncan. You've got other arrangements going on, haven't you?
Yep, at this moment.
Obligations.
Yes,
so that's fine. But I do have, hopefully, another guest, a superstar guest, who will be joining us. And no, it won't be Phil Spencer. He's got something else on that day. I don't understand why, but that's what he told me. But there will be somebody else. So Lee, Daz, myself, Jem, who is amazing. Go and check out Jem's content, folks. And hopefully one other guest will be going live before the full show. We promise not to talk over all the important bits, and obviously we'll have analysis as well. So look forward to that. That's this coming Tuesday at 5:30 in theory. Great, Duncan. Thank you very much for all that latest news malarkey. What's next? I tell you what's next.
What's up, Rokk?
What's up, Rokk? Well,
I was meant to say, what's up, Rokk?
You are meant to say, what's up, Rokk? And then I'm meant to say, I don't know, mate, I don't know. I'm just all too much for me. I'm meant to say, well, I tell you what's up, Duncan. What is this Google Stadia Connect thing that I keep saying and talking about? And I don't understand what it's all about. Where's it, mate? I'm worried.
This Stadia Connect thing, which is everybody seems to be talking about, and you and me and everybody out there, this is Stadia's big showcase event to show what is coming to Stadia. And normally these are just games, and more games with a bit of other stuff, but this one seems to be hinting that it's going to be a little bit more of the other things, like new features coming to Stadia, and that and maybe some new services, but we don't know. They've left it very dissimilar. So basically, this is a digital event, usually between 20 minutes to over an hour. It could be, if they're going to follow the traditional route of the other console manufacturers and their platforms. So we're talking, this could be a very major event. We don't know how long this is going to be at this moment in time. It could be 20 minutes, it could be an hour, it could be 2 hours, it could be 10 hours. We do not know. But I think the safe money would be between 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
And the speculation is, because this has been hyped up for 4 weeks out, it should be a longer sort of one. So this is why a lot of people are excited. Normally when they've announced these before, it says these are coming next week or in a couple of days, but this one's been announced for 4 weeks now. So we're hoping this is going to be a bigger one, and to show us what all is coming.
What's the longest one that they've had so far then?
Good question. Do you count the GDC one from last year?
Well, not really, do we? I mean, I know what you're saying. That was long. The GDCs are long. They're a different animal, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Connects around folk like us, mere mortals. But they don't tend to be that long, do they?
I think the longest one was just over half an hour or so. There hasn't been like a big, long digital deep dive, an hour long one. But I'm hoping that it's going to be about an hour long this time. So
okay.
Just
I would like to think so as well. I'm with you on that, because there's a lot that we hope there's a lot of ground to cover, given that well, we've already seen some leaks and spoilers and stuff, so we know there's some interesting stuff coming, don't we? And of course, in the community blog I want to say it was Thursday. Was it Wednesday? Thursday. They hinted that there will be definitely more than games to cover off. So I think it's fair to assume that they've got a lot to cover.
Yep, I think they do, and with all these things have been pushing out recently, and then people like during the community, like Jem, went and discovered things like. It does seem that we're imminent for a lot of new wee features coming. We've got the YouTube streaming, crowd play, state share seems to be hinted at. Again, these are all features for Stadia. Some people will use them, some people won't, but they're just more for the general populace here. There's just so many hints that there's a lot of smoke, and what you say, where there's smoke, there's fire a lot of the time. So there's a lot of smoke going up here that things are going to kick off. So that's why a lot of people are excited about this going forward.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, because I think, wasn't that long ago where we were all thinking, wow, we've got Amazon's coming up and xCloud's coming up, and yet they're still not there, are they? And although people have sort of said, oh, Stadia, you're losing ground, you're going to have these guys coming up and take over, that has still not happened. So it kind of feels like Stadia are on the right tracks to me.
Yep, there is. Stadia have got the best tech out there, and I don't think anybody can deny that. It works flawlessly for myself, and I know many people out there. Again, performance may differ depending on where you live and your setup, but if you're out there, for me, it works absolutely amazing, and as it should. And when you get some of the features in which we touched on a couple of podcasts ago, like Stream Connect, where you're playing Ubisoft game, again, we'll go back to them, you can see what other people are doing. You've got their screens and your screen. It is just amazing, and it's just groundbreaking what Stadia can actually do. And if they get everything going, it is going to be a phenomenal service.
Totally agree. So that is coming up this coming Tuesday, as was mentioned a second ago, and we think that's. Am I correct in saying that 6 p.m. BST? Is it 1 p.m. EDT?
Yeah, I
As
think
easy as 1, 2, 3. Sorry, a little bit of the old Jackson 5 kicking in there. Couldn't help myself.
I think it's going to be a 6 o'clock our time, 1 o'clock Eastern, and what's that, 10 o'clock Pacific?
Yes, I think so. I say yes, Duncan, because I don't really know, but I think you're right. Good stuff. Well, it's a shame you won't be able to join us. I understand your commitments, so that's fine. But as I say, we're going to have Jem joining us, and I'm hoping one other very special guest. But I'm just waiting on confirmation for that, so that's all good news. Well, thank you. I feel a lot better now that you've explained what that was, because I was feeling a bit up and a bit down on that one. So that's it's all very good news. What have we got next? I'll tell you what we've got next, Duncan. Oh, yes. Now then, let me just get, so here we go, get rid of that. I've got a problem with my buttons, by the way. I don't know if I've told you about the problem with my buttons. Here we go. Well, today's Rokk review is West of Loathing. Now, as you can see, this is quite clever. You can't see if you're listening on the podcast, but it doesn't matter because we will talk about it. We're actually going to play today's Rokk review game, West of Loathing. But before we do that, let me just quickly explain to those that are new to the show that the Rokk review is different to your ordinary, average, normal, other people's reviews. What we do is we look at it from several perspectives, one of which is how quick is the game to load. Another one is how easy is it to pick up from where you left off. And by that we mean, and West of Loathing is a good example for this, if you have to race off to pick up the kids from school, or you've got to go to school itself, or you just generally want to go up, you've had enough time gaming, and you come back to the game shortly after, or even a week later, how do you pick up from the same place? And that's quite important for us busy folk. Is it easy to play? We covered off Crater last week, which, as we said at the time, is at one end one of the easiest games easiest titles to play if you just want to play other people's games. At the other end, it's probably the most complex title on Stadia at the moment. Is it rewarding? And is it good value? So let's fire it up and see how quick it is to load. I'm doing this on the basis that I happen to think this is quite quick to load. So let's number 1. There we go. Checking my connection. So that's not the game's fault. So, Duncan, you've not actually invested a huge amount of time in this game, have you?
No, I haven't really stuck as much time as you into the game at this moment in time, but I've had a quick go on it. So my thoughts on this will be just through my quick play of it. So I think you've been really enjoying this game.
I've been enjoying this game, yeah. So podcast people, we were in the game. It took all of about 30 seconds once we pressed the actual buttons, and for Duncan to say he's never played it. So that will work quite well. And also, I've literally started where I left off. I mean, to the literal point that it was where my character was left when I finished the game. So that also answers our second point of, can you pick up where you left off? Absolutely you can. It's a great game for that. Number 3, is it easy to play? Very easy. I mean, look, genuinely, all you do with this game is move your little stick man around, go up to things, and either it'll tell you what to do, or or you have a little chat with people, and when you chat to people, they tell you about things they'd like you to go and do. You go and do those things, you get meat and other rewards for doing that. All will be explained when you play the game. It's a very, very simple kind of role-playing game in some ways, but genuinely, you pick this up, press go, and you'll work out how to play this within seconds. It's very simple. So yes, it's very easy to play. Is it rewarding? Well, it is, as I've said, it's a game where everything you do leads to some kind of reward. So you've got all sorts of stuff that you collect as you go. Every time you do something, you get rewarded with XP, or maybe a better gun, or some sort of power. You get to choose a different character type when you start the game. And that determines whether your character's good at certain things or not good at certain things. and that's pretty cool. So yeah, it is rewarding. It's not just, you don't just work it linearly. You can go off and do different missions. You can look after your horse. Do you know what? It's it's like a 1D version of Red Dead Redemption. It's all good. It's a great little game. And then the final question, of course, is is it value for money? Now, I can assure you that it's not £30. Do you know how much it is for non-pro people?
No, I haven't declared this moment in time, but I believe it's around $10 on Steam, so I think it'll be in and around that sort of price. I was actually trying to get an account set up to do it, and it wouldn't let me.
It's cheap. The thing is, it's free, or at least it's as part of your pro subscription. It's free, so you can claim it for $0.00. And as Duncan just said, even if you go and buy it, it's very cheap. And sadly, neither of us know the exact amount. Maybe you know in the chat. We're all pro subscribers, you see. And as of yet, they don't show you the price of games once you've claimed them. But it's certainly around that figure. I mean, the worst case scenario is it's probably $15. And if you've signed up and not used your $10 reward that you get for signing up or just being a member of Stadia, you could, of course, get it for next to nothing. So I think it's huge value for money, and it is a very enjoyable game. Which then leads us, Duncan, to the overall score. Now, I scored it 5s across the board. I couldn't see a reason not to give it anything less than 5. You weren't so... because, of course, the one thing I didn't explain, folks, at the very outset of this is that my approach is as a pro subscriber. So all of my votes are based on the fact that I got it to claim. Whereas, Duncan, yours are based on the fact that you are a standard Stadia non-pro subscriber, at least as far as our review's concerned, and therefore your points include the fact that you have to buy it. So typically for you, because you're an old skinflint, I know you like stuff for free, so in essence, if it costs anything more than 1 penny, you're always going to mark it down on price. So I've gone for 5 across the board. That's 25. That's 5 times 5 is 25, if my maths are correct. You gave it 4 on value for money and 4 for rewarding. I'm not sure why you gave it 4 for rewarding, though. Did you just make that up because you wanted to be the,
Yes, I just wanted to be different for that. For my quick wee go at it, I think it's a good wee game. It's nearly a perfect wee Stadia game on the go. You can play away on your phone and whatnot, but I just knocked it down just for badness, so that it's a good fun game. I think it's more like nitpicking here than anything at all.
I've no idea why he's laughing, folks. If you're listening on podcast, you probably want to go and see the show. Right. I listen. You know what? I think it's a resounding 25 out of 20. I'm going to completely ignore your 2 4s, your 2 downplays. What can you say, folks? It's the price of 2 pints of beer, for God's sake. 20. It's a cracking. This is a perfect Rokk review game. Essentially, if you're going to pick one up in the next couple of days, it has to be this one. This is a perfect casual gamer's game. And it is a great game. I enjoyed it immensely. Look at my little ghostly horse as well.
I would like to thank Holtz in the chat. It's £11, $10.99.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, my friend. So Duncan wasn't a million miles away, was he? And there you go. So literally, Duncan, if you haven't cashed in your £10 from our good friends at Stadia, you can get it for less than £1, mate. Less than £1. Where the heck does 4 out of 5 for price come in when you can get it for less than the price of a newspaper?
But not everybody's got that, remember.
Well, no, true enough. So Duncan wants it free, and he doesn't want to subscribe to the Pro. So what can I say, folks?
Can I just say the Pro subscription now? I think we've discussed this in the when we started doing the Rokk reviews before. If you do not have the Pro subscription, you really should get the Pro subscription, because if you're just looking at it from a pure Pro subscription sort of point of view, you can't beat it. It's £9
It's amazing value.
Yeah,
And it's certainly $8.99. It's $10, isn't it? If you're in American
yeah.
Leicestershire, yeah, and in $8.99 for us over here in the United Kingdom of Britain and Northern Ireland and Scotland and Wales.
What we can say about the Pro subscription is there does seem to be a change of tact from them from before. I think we've discussed this before. That it used to be one game, you were only guaranteeing one game, and now we're just getting mountains of games, and your game library is just expanding. And just remember, folks, if you cancel Pro and you go back to it, the games you've played previously, you've still got them. So
Yeah.
if you want to take a break for a while, don't be worrying. But the Pro subscription is absolutely amazing value for money, and there's definitely been a change of tact. And I'm hoping not we may get some more games during the Connect as well that will drop into Pro, along with Orcs Must Die 3.
Good. Right, I haven't seen my cat for a while, by the way. If you do see it, folks, you let me know. Duncan, thank you very much for that little advert on behalf of Google. That's much appreciated. Now then, normally at this time of the week, we ask Duncan a question, but we're changing things a little bit this week. Are you ready for this, my friend? Here we go. Yes, we're asking Cloudy today. No longer are we asking Duncan. We don't want him to know about the Pro account either. Cloudy, why are we asking Cloudy? Let's ask this first. Why are we asking Cloudy, Duncan?
I have recently bought Cloudy games off Ebert along with Kelly as well. We both have decided, but we want to venture out into the world somewhat ourselves and start talking about cloud gaming in general. So it's going to touch on Stadia, it's going to touch on GeForce Now, it's going to touch on PlayStation Now, it's going to touch on xCloud. Everywhere is going cloud gaming wild at this moment in time. It may not take off for a year or two, but every single big platform is going to be going into cloud gaming. So it's going to be a very interesting topic. And this is even not mentioning the lion and the Serengeti. I can't even say it.
Serengeti, Savannah.
Yeah, that's the bad boy. And Amundsen as well.
I've got one of those.
There's just going to be so much excitement going. So me and Kelly have went out and bought Cloudy with a chance of games off Edward, and now we're going to be reading there and doing things for there going forward.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, listen, absolute best of luck with that launch. I know you've literally only launched this week, haven't you? And it's as we've said before, it's not you're still at this moment in time hanging around with the guys at Stadia Source. It isn't a Stadia Source competitor. It's absolutely aimed at the full wide spectrum of cloud gaming, which I think is absolutely needed. So that's brilliant news. So thank you for that, Mr. Cloudy, Duncan. The question that we had this week for you was, Duncan, I'm confused by... No, it wasn't that one, was it? That was last week's. I'm even more confused. Hang on a second, let me find you this week's. Where is it?
I remember this week's one. It is... What is the difference in the different... what's the difference in the different? That makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it does.
It's talking about the different performance modes. Why do you have different performance modes? Yes.
No. I did type it. Honestly, I don't know where it's gone. But yes. So when you fire up your, actually, I don't even think it's in the app anymore. But certainly when you go to Stadia and you click on the little, I think it's the avatar, and then it shows you what the resolution is that currently you're playing at on the screen, and there's some other choices, aren't there? And what do they all do, and why would you want to change it?
Yeah, it used to be in the app. It has actually been taken off the app. You now do this on per device basis. So if you're playing on your phone, you can go change it on your phone. If you're playing on PC, you change it on the PC. And if you're playing the Chromecast Ultra, you can change it on there. Basically, there are 3 different modes. There's up to 4K, which you have to be a Pro subscriber to have, up to 1080p and up to 720p. And each of these ones do different things. Straight off, you can tell what the difference is. You can stream up to 4K if you're on Pro, and it just lowers the resolution. So there'd be a couple of reasons why you would want to lower the resolution.
Okay.
if you're depending where you are in the world and what your data package is with your network provider or your internet provider for your home, you may
Yeah.
want to drop down the resolution to save your data cap each month. Basically, there is masses of difference for the 4K. It is 20 up to 20 gig an hour, so that would really start to eat into your data cap if you've got one. 1080 is up to 12.6 gig an hour, and 720p is 4.5. So you can see there's quite a massive reduction in each of these if you need to start saving your data each month.
Yeah.
Also, the weird thing is as well with Stadia at times, if you lower your resolution from a 4K to a 1080p resolution, some games actually change their features due to that. The one I like using is Borderlands 3. If you're playing in 4K, you're playing at 4K and 30 FPS. And what that means is your movement or the way the screen refreshes is only doing 30 frames per second, it's called. But if you drop it down to 1080, you get 1080 but 60 FPS. That mean absolutely nothing to you. However, what it actually feels like in when you're actually playing it, 60 FPS feels a bit more smooth when you're moving your controllers and moving about and cameras and all that. It's a big noticeable difference. It's one of the reasons why Destiny is a game I recommend. Destiny 2 is a game I recommend people trying from console-based to Stadia because the difference is just so stark and noticeable.
Yeah.
So that might be a reason why you would want to drop it down too.
Yeah, no, that's true. If you play Destiny on a PlayStation or an Xbox, it's only 30 frames per second, which is kind of standard TV res, isn't it? But when you whip it up to 60, now I think 60 frames per second, that's the amount of frames in the video that cycles through 1 second of video. I think when you do 60 frames per second on normal film or TV, it looks really odd. But when you do it on a game, it makes the world of difference, doesn't it?
Exactly, it does. It's very smooth. You don't actually notice it if you've been playing in 30 FPS, but as soon as you move to play most of your games at 60 FPS, which a lot of the games on Stadia are, there's just such a massive difference. You can go straight away, that's down to 30 FPS because it just feels stuttery nearly. Stadia makes you become a bit of a snob in that regard, that all the games have to be 60 FPS or it's just really noticeable. Some games can get away with it if you're talking about turn-based games and things like that, but any sort of action game or platform game or FPS has the first-person shooters like your Destinies and your Call of Duties and whatnot. If they're not 60 FPS, it is just so noticeable in Stadia now.
Yeah, it's it is unfortunately, we are unfortunately in a world of acronyms. We can't escape it. The old FPSs and you know, I mean, you've got first person shooter FPS and you've got frames per second FPS, and it's all a bit whoa. But needless to say, I think for most people, if you're playing Stadia on a television and it's either a standard TV or even a 4K TV, and you are sat 8 to 10 feet away from the TV, you're probably not going to notice a vast difference if you go between 1080p and 4K, but you definitely will see a difference between 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second. And I know that some people will only play 1080p 60 frames per second because the difference, as far as they're concerned, is worth dropping down. And of course you save on your data as well, which can mean a lot. Not so much in the UK, or in fact most of the world, where we don't have data cap plans, but I know in the States, and I believe in Canada, it's still a big thing. Maybe not so much in Canada, but in the States they do have a lot of their data plans are capped, aren't they, unless they pay extra. So, you know, managing that in order to save yourself a few pennies is worth looking at.
And I would also mention this. I know a number of people have said also in the community that if you've got HDR, that's another acronym on your
They're not
TV.
avoided.
Yeah, which is like it's a setting on your TV to make the pictures look better. Most modern TVs in the last year or two have that built in. Even the wee cheap TVs now are starting to do it. People are actually saying if you're playing a 1080p with HDR, even if you drop it down to 720p with HDR, there's not much of a difference if you're even looking to save even more data, as you can actually drop it down to that.
It's interesting because HDR, do you know what I was just thinking? We ought to do a section, maybe next week, on the various acronyms, because there are lots. Even where we're trying to keep things simple, it's difficult to sort of mention the stuff in and around cloud gaming and Stadia without a few of them dropping in. So we'll do a little featurette on what these various acronyms stand for. But the process of HDR, where it originally came in, was that somebody with a camera would take a photo at one bracket with high contrast, lots of light coming in the lens, and another one where they'd turn it right down and have it darker, and then they'd mix the two together, so you'd get your foreground and your background at an equal light, so it just looked more dynamic. I think it stands for high dynamic range. So you get that, instead of it being a sort of fall off with the light, and then you lose all the light in the background. The best way to do it, to think about this, is if you ever take a photo with someone with the sun behind them, and they're all dark, aren't they? You can't see them because there's too much light behind. So the way that the HDR works is that it shuts the light off from the back so that there's more detail in the front, takes a photo, then it reverts it so that you get all that light behind and they go dark, takes a photo and puts the two together so you get the best of both worlds. And that's what high dynamic range HDR is supposed to do. And as you've said, that's a feature in Stadia. I don't think it's a feature on any of the other cloud gaming platforms, and it only happens if you click it into the 4K option. Am I correct, Duncan?
Yeah, you have to be a pro.
My very detailed analysis of HDR.
Your HDR thing, I'm not going to argue with it because I haven't been here about that. With the HDR, I forgot to say, you have to be a pro subscriber to get HDR. So
yes. Yes, that's true. And you have to be a pro, not just that, you have to be a pro subscriber to get 4K as well, don't you?
You do indeed. So
yeah. That's one of the upsides. And so therefore, if you are a standard Stadia subscriber, you can go as high as 1080p 60, but you can't go higher than that. Yeah. No matter what game you bought.
Nope, doesn't matter what game you bought, and you can't get HDR, and you get the other features like the sound's better as well. You'll get access to
5.1. Yeah.
And you also get all the games. So the way I have actually tried to describe Stadia Pro to some people is it's a mixture between getting the PlayStation 4 Pro and PlayStation Plus. You get the upgraded graphics and extra features, plus you get the features of like the PlayStation Plus package where you get the free games each month and you get the discounts and all that. So I think it's a sort of combination of both. Yeah, there's Baby Rokk going there.
It's important, mate. We got to be talking to people as if they don't know this stuff. And 5.1 even, again, a lot of people don't know what 5.1 is, and it literally is 4 speakers. So that's your fronts and your backs, plus 1, which is either a bass or a center speaker. Sometimes it's neither, and sometimes it's both. But that's essentially what 5.1 sound is. So if you want the full surround effect, Stadia delivers that, but only if you are a pro subscriber. Another good reason.
Yep, there's just lots of good reasons to be a pro subscriber. If Stadia is your daily driver, as people say, that's your main platform going, Stadia Pro is a must-have.
Yes.
You just need to have it because it is the premium way to actually play Stadia, and you get all the games and. Or not, sorry, I will rephrase that. You get all the free games each month as part of the package. It just makes it worth the while.
Brilliant. Right, Duncan. Thank you very much for explaining that, because it is something that I know a few people have sort of they've scratched their heads, when can I use it? Why should I use it? What happens if I'm not a pro subscriber? Hopefully that's explained it all perfectly well. Right, I think we're just about ready to say goodbye to everybody. I don't know why that suddenly popped in, but it's a very beautiful thing. Where can people find you, Duncan?
You can
Here's a clue,
find
by the way, folks.
you can find me at One to Skip on Twitter, and you can now find me at cloudywithachanceofgames.com.
That's absolutely excellent.
And I think next week's show is going to be a blockbuster, because we're going to have a lot to discuss next week with this Connect.
You're absolutely right. Well, we hope. Let's hope. We don't want to get our hopes up too high, do we? But I think we're expecting a few things to discuss. You can find me here. You can find me here on, of course, this YouTube channel, and you can also find Duncan with me on this YouTube channel another 2 times in the week. One is on a Wednesday when we do Rokk Around the Clock. Rokk Around the Clock, folks, is a little bit like this, and it's more news-based, and we go into a little bit more detail. So if we've whetted your appetite and you're new to Stadia, maybe pop along at 8 o'clock UK time, same channel. And that'll be Rokk Around the Clock with Duncan and myself. And then on Friday nights, Duncan and I, joined by our 2 good friends, Lee and Daz, and we do Rockstars at Night, which is a 3-hour extravaganza. Don't worry, you'll enjoy it, because one of the only shows that you can come along to YouTube and actually play a game with us. And up until now, we've been playing PUBG every week. Great fun. We get 20 odd people all joining into a game. We stream it live. We have some fun, some jokes and some beers and some snacks. Hopefully next Friday, we're going to mix it up a little bit with some alternative gaming. So it won't be necessarily PUBG. More on that in the week. So we're looking forward to that. You can also get me on Twitter. That's at Stadia Rokks, and you can visit my website, which is stadiarocks.uk. Duncan, thank you very much as ever, my friend. I hope you've enjoyed today's show chat. It's been lovely to share the chat with you guys. And we look forward to picking up with you again, same time, same place, next Sunday. Have a great week.